can expect later on this month, correct?
22nd.
Okay, on the 22nd. Would you like the,
Yeah.
because this is better than the other one. You have a pocket, you can put that in.
My dog's got
Huh? Okay, all right, don't move. You got an iPad?
I got an iPad.
Good girl.
No, forget it. Okay, Andy's going to show you. Okay, let me get back to where I am because we're sort of out of sync. We had to do this morning, so. Where are you, Andy? You got the REO draft?
I can go wherever. Just
well, we'll just sort of work through. Let's go back up to the counter offer if we can. I mean, the BRE. You get that? That was the first one? Yeah. Okay, buyers representation exclusive. Go to the second page. You'll see that we're seeing a lot of this, but there's going to be disclaimers about internet advertising. If you can scroll up a little bit, page 2. Just says the buyer acknowledges that the properties presented to them have been marketed through virtual tours, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That other buyers may be viewing the properties, and that you will be, maybe they'll be on blogs. You can't guarantee how long they're going to stay. I mean, somebody called me on a property that I sold 3 years ago, and it's still on somebody's blog. So anyway, this is just telling the buyers that the information about the properties may be out there. So that's the biggest change on that one. Let's go back to the next one, which is the counteroffer. The counteroffer has changed a lot. First of all, you can see in the middle of D, there's an addenda. And let me just tell you that I've got these to Andy, and Andy's going to distribute them to you in the color copies, so you can study these on your own, and you'll understand where the changes are, because when you get the new ones on the 22nd, obviously they will not be color-coded. But you have room for an addenda now. You have the fact that if it's a seller counteroffer, the seller has the right to offer the property and wait until acceptance. And also they've changed, look where the multiple counteroffer is. It's changed so that if you have a seller counteroffer, then everybody's going to be signing down in 5, but you still have to check the multiple counteroffer. So make sure that you do look at these, because they're not the same as you were used to, and they made some changes because of the of some of the pressure as far as the legal environment that we're in right now.
Annette, does
Yes.
that eliminate the problem, the conflict with the counteroffer time and the
Yeah, I think it will, Judy, because I mean that's what they were trying to work on, is the fact that it was not a clear form when you were signing all over the place. People were never signing them in the right place, so it was a problem. Federal lead-based tank. Can you get to that one? Okay, as you know, pull it up a little bit. The EPA has the new federal lead-based paint removal, renovation, and painting rules. This has the EPA website's language. Remember, if you're selling something that was built before 1978, or maybe has a foundation or something before 78, you're going to have to comply with this, and you've got to have contractors that comply. So be aware of that. That's the biggest change on that one. Let's see. The next one would be the homeowners association. One of the things, just to always look. Remember, when you want to know, especially if you're not on the web, look for that red sign up there that says, it won't be in red, but look and make sure you've got the latest form, especially when they're coming back to you. Go to page 2 on this one for me, Andy. And this one, I think, is a really good change. You'll notice that the first things they're asking for are required by the civil code sections as far as what you have to do under condominium law. And then the second things at the bottom, as far as minutes pending anticipated litigation, all that good stuff, is what's required by our purchase agreement. I think this is going to help you, particularly when you're dealing with some of these HOA management companies that are unbelievably atrocious, that we have to have this. So this is the stuff that we have to have, and some of the other things that you can get, like smoking restrictions, pet restrictions. But they've delineated them as to statutory and contractual, so they're the important things we have to have. Okay, next one. Let's see, okay. We have a manufactured housing TDS that I'm not going to go over because it's very similar to the new TDS. The next one, just take a look at is the this doesn't like to go back. Anyway, the different kinds of RPAs. Okay, so we have vacant land, we have all those. Just understand if you're doing those things, there'll be an RPA for you on those. The REO, let's go to that one. Advisory is new. This is what they'd like you to use whenever you're doing REOs. And let's go to page 2 for me. You'll see that the biggest thing there is the fact that under an REO, Civil Code 1103 says that the seller can't require you to directly use somebody that they want to use. This is in response to some of the things that the banks have been doing. It's got all the code sections, things like that. It's got all your local laws. And then it's got the caveat that if you have a rental property, that the tenants in the rental property have a 90-day right to stay in the property. So all the things that came into the REO problems we've been having hopefully are going to be addressed by this new form. And I say hopefully because we never know until they go back.
So, Annette, does that mean that they can no longer say seller to choose all of those services?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
What about the notice to the tenants, what is the 90-day start?
Judy, it's their 90-day notice. A tenant with a month-to-month rental agreement is entitled to a 90-day notice of termination. In addition, certain rent control have more jurisdiction. So just take a look at that. It's under the law. There's a new construction residential purchase agreement and joint escrow instructions, which is 12 pages, which I'm going to have Jim do for you sometime because he understands new construction. But again, if you will remember, we went through this a while ago when the 8-page was totally useless and you had to put addendums and it didn't work. So anyway, the new construction residential, 12 pages, we need to go over it, but if you're doing new construction, be sure and take a look at this one. But I'm hoping that it's got the new time frames delineated, things like that. Okay, let's go on to, go back.
Quick question, sorry.
Yes.
On the new construction, with all of the advisories and the addendums and all that, do we still, and I think I know the answer, but we still need the buyer advisory?
Yes. Yes. REO advisory for the listing side. This is for properties that are being sold by a lender after foreclosure. Remember that you have different disclosure requirements, things like that. And then if you go to page 2, it has the same caveat about the selection of title and escrow. It has the rental property. You need to be using this if you have a property that a lender is using. Or is actually going to list with you, so make sure you know about that one. Okay, let's go back to the next one would be the residential listing agreement. This on page 1, the only big difference is that it's more specific about the broker's compensation, which is good. Page 2, go over to that one now. This is a huge section about internet displays, features on the what your basically what it says is that these properties are going to go on the internet. Mr. Seller, be aware of this. People will be looking at your house. And then it also says that MLS subscribers have to agree to a certain set of rules, that we can't bend everything that we do for you because you want to be so private and whatever. So it's a large section, but I think it addresses some of the problems that some people have been running into as far as people not wanting things on the MLS or not wanting certain parts on the MLS. And of course, we now belong to an even larger MLS, and it got to be a big problem. So that one, be sure you take a look at. The RLA has really changed a lot. Okay, the next one would be, and I'm sorry there's a lot of these, but we just need to know. The seller's advisory has changed, just mostly as far as legal things, but it's got the EPA lead-based paint caveat in there that your seller needs to know that if they're going to hire people to work on the house, they're going to have to do something with that. SBSA is 16 pages. A lot of people aren't using this anymore because they're going to the SBQ, but it's there. If you're going to be using it, be sure you read through this particularly because it's got a lot of changes, and some of them are really good for us though, because it points out that the seller is not obligated to make repairs, corrections, or requested actions. It was not really clear in the first form. So it's mostly cleanup language, I think, but go through that. Talks about boundary lines, talks about the EPA again. We have all of these new things because of the EPA. And then let's see, where are we? Okay. The SSIA, which is your short sale information advisory. This is all brand new. This is what you should be using with every one of your short sales. It covers what is a short sale, what are the alternatives to a short sale, lenders' agreements to the short sale, liabilities in a short sale, tax consequences, credit consequences. It's a great form. So if you're doing short sales, I think this is going to hopefully help you. And also, on the last page, Jim will love this and Jack will love this, it's got pointing out that the final, since the listing belongs to who? The broker. The listing belongs to the broker, then the broker has the final say on things. Okay, SPQ, can we find that one? It should be down. There we are. Yeah, okay. So the SPQ has changed the way these words are written. That's what I can, when you see blue, it just means that the words have been reworked because they were unclear or there was problems. And what happens is when the forms come out, then the attorneys fight about them for 2 or 3 meetings at CAR, and then we get some changes. So this is the new statutorily or contractually required. It's all on one page, on the first page. And then the next page, it has a caveat about if there's pre-1978, you have to follow the EPA standards. It's been numbered. And then on the last, as far as condominiums, common interest subdivisions, and other subdivisions, they added in those words. It's added in all the things about an architectural committee. So for those of you working condos and know that you can't do a lot without the architectural committees, that'll be good for that one. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's look at the TDS because that's another, and the manufactured housing TDS is exactly the same as this. So let's go back to the TDS.
I don't have it.
Yeah. You don't have it? Ooh. Okay. All right, the biggest thing I think we've talked about is just remember that it's going to ask you if you have carbon monoxide devices, because that's a new law as of December 31st of this year. It's a checkbox. It also, under automatic garage door openers, is going to have how many are there. It also, under water heater, it's gas, electric, and solar now. And then on the second page, you have to, it has a caveat that the installation of some of these things like the child resistance pool locks and the carbon monoxide device and other things may or may not be in code, and that it's up to the buyer to look at them. So that's basically, we didn't do all of them, but that's basically it. So Andy has them, and if he can send them out to everybody, I think it behooves you to take a look at these before they come out. And they should be hitting your computer by the 22nd.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we all know that if you're using zip forms online, then all these forms get updated for you automatically, and you won't be able to use the old forms. It's gone. They're gone. Now, how many people are using who's online? Who is still stuck on their PC? Bad doing the bad thing. Okay, I don't see any hands. That's good.